Welcome. Today, we're providing a detailed briefing on China's white goods industry. The competitive landscape here has undergone a fundamental transformation. We're going to begin with our core conclusions right up front, then drill down into the data, the market dynamics, and the strategic positioning of key players. So our first conclusion is this. The old growth equation is obsolete. The era of winning simply by increasing scale and volume is over. Today, the market is driven entirely by value enhancement. We're talking about premiumization, advanced features, and the integration of smart technology. This is where the real growth is. Second, the power dynamic is shifting decisively towards consolidation. The established leaders are leveraging their significant advantages in branding, in supply chain mastery, and in R&D to pull away from the competition. This is creating a widening gap and leading to much higher market concentration. And this entire shift is being propelled by three specific, powerful forces. First, premiumization, as consumers demand higher quality products. Second, globalization, with Chinese brands aggressively expanding overseas. And third, intelligence, as smart, connected devices create new home ecosystems. These three themes will be our guide for the rest of this analysis. Here is our agenda. We'll begin with the new growth equation, then place China's market in a global context. From there, we'll examine the competitive arena, conduct a data-driven comparison of the four giants, and conclude with a look at strategic positioning and future risks. So let's dive into the industry's new growth equation. The market has entered a more stable cycle, but the potential for growth is now oriented vertically. It's being driven by value and structural upgrades, not by simple horizontal expansion. You see, today's growth isn't coming from just one place. It's a powerful combination of factors. You have government stimulus, like trade-in policies, that are accelerating replacement cycles. You have organic consumption upgrades driving that premiumization trend we mentioned. And then you have technology integration, making products smarter, and a serious push for global expansion to find new revenue streams. Now, to really appreciate China's position, we have to look at it globally. The dynamics driving the market in China are fundamentally different from those in mature economies, and that's precisely why it remains the undisputed engine for the entire sector. The contrast is pretty stark. In mature markets like North America and Europe, growth is modest. It's mostly driven by standard replacement cycles and new energy efficiency regulations. But in China, the growth is fueled by much more powerful structural forces, ongoing policy stimulus, a massive and still growing middle class, and continued urbanization. This just creates a much higher ceiling for potential demand. And this number is crucial to understanding the full picture. China isn't just the world's largest consumer market, it's also the world's factory. It accounts for an estimated 60 to 70% of global manufacturing capacity. That level of industrial concentration gives its domestic players an almost unbeatable advantage in supply chain depth and cost efficiency. Now, this market dominance has forged an incredibly competitive environment. What we're looking at is a clear oligopoly, but it's an oligopoly that's under intense pressure, not just from the usual rivals, but from a new class of tech-driven disruptors. A quick look through the lens of Porter's 5 forces makes it clear just how high pressure this arena is. You have high supplier power with volatile commodity prices. You have high buyer power, especially from massive e-commerce platforms. And while the threat of substitutes is low, the rivalry among the existing giants is exceptionally high. The key takeaway here is that profitability in this sector is a constant battle. And if you want to see the velocity of this disruption in action, just look at this number. Xiaomi, a tech company, growing its large appliance revenue by over 66% year over year. This isn't just a statistic. It's a clear signal that the old barriers to entry are eroding and that technology is fundamentally rewriting the rules of competition. This disruption really stems from two clashing business models. On one hand, you had the incumbents. They are traditional giants built on deep, vertically integrated manufacturing and a focus on brand premium. On the other hand, you have a disruptor like Xiaomi, which uses an asset-light, ecosystem-first strategy. They leverage their digital platform and focus on value pricing to capture market share. So now, let's move to the core of our analysis, a head-to-head, data-driven comparison of the 4 titans, Midea, Haier, Gree, and Hisense. We'll examine their performance from the first half of 2025 to understand who is leading and who is facing challenges. The financial data reveals a clear split in performance. Midea and Haier are demonstrating very strong momentum, with double-digit revenue and profit growth. But if you look at Gree and Hissens, you see that their top-line growth has effectively stalled. This divergence tells a crucial story about which strategies are succeeding in the current environment. But of course, top-line growth is only one part of the story. When we shift our focus to profitability, the picture changes. Gree Electric leads the pack with an impressive 14.8% net margin. This demonstrates the incredible pricing power and brand equity it holds in its core air conditioner segment, allowing it to remain highly profitable even with flat revenue. Now, let's look at operations. Inventory turnover days are an excellent measure of efficiency, and they show us who is running the tightest ship. Hisense and Midea are the clear leaders here, turning over their inventory in just 30 and 49 days, respectively. In a capital-intensive industry, that level of supply chain efficiency is a critical competitive advantage. Okay, let's connect these data points back to strategy. We've seen the what in the numbers. Now let's analyze the why and discuss what this means for the future competitive positioning of each company. This summary table really synthesizes our findings. Midea's strategy is all about diversification into B2B and globalization. Haier is winning by dominating the premium segment with its Casarte brand. Gree continues to leverage its incredibly profitable focus on air conditioners, but that focus is also its primary strategic risk. And Hisense is operating steadily but finds itself squeezed between the larger leaders and the new disruptors. And finally, no analysis would be complete without considering the sector-wide risks. All of these companies are exposed to potential macroeconomic headwinds, especially from the property market. They face constant cost pressure from volatile raw material prices, ever-intensifying competition, and the geopolitical and foreign exchange risks that come with global operations. So, we will conclude with the central strategic question that looms over this entire industry. As the primary battleground shifts away from standalone hardware and towards integrated home ecosystems, what will ultimately define the winner? Will it be traditional manufacturing prowess, or will it be the ability to capture, analyze, and leverage user data? The answer to this question will determine the strategic trajectory of this sector for the next decade.